Hello and welcome to Let's Review. Vlad the Impaler is one of those historical figures with a very unpleasant reputation. Most famous for impaling his victims on spikes to let them slowly die, he's also supposedly the inspiration for the Dracula legend. Though it should be noted, of course, that he is considered a folk hero in many parts of Romania. As such, the game that bears his name is very dark, both in tone and art style. But is it any good? Well, let's start with the gameplay. Vlad the Impaler's gameplay focuses on choosing how you respond to a number of random encounters. Each of these choices will affect both your moral compass and a number of key stats.
From the map of Constantinople, you can choose where you will visit. More destinations become available the further through the game you are. So for example, this is Act 2, where 5 destinations are available. I'm going to travel to the port. Here, I arrive and look at some ships. I can wait for the dockmaster to return or break in and search for what I need. This is likely a morality choice, but it will also affect my stats. So for example, I choose to break in. I have managed to get inside. And as a result, I have gained +1 magic and +1 dexterity. I've also gained a little bit of dark morality, so I have shifted from grey to slightly red tinged to indicate that. The V symbol will go white for pure morality and eventually all the way red for fully evil. The statistics themselves will change throughout the course of the game, and depending on which class you are determines which you should be focusing on. So for example, my current character is the soldier, who should be focusing on strength and constitution.
The stats come into play during the final battle. Unfortunately, because Vlad the Impaler is very poor at explaining itself, you will have no clue whether the stats you've got are any good or not. I certainly didn't. Well, not until I died horribly anyway. At that point I figured out that they sucked.
During the final battle, you will have a number of options at your disposal. For example, I could use Hit for the Head, which requires me to have a high strength and a high constitution. Now, as you can see, I have 15 strength and 9 constitution, so let's see what happens. You scream in agony and pain at the chill of his bite. So yeah, I clearly didn't have enough strength and constitution, even though, to the best of my knowledge, there's no way to get it higher than that. In a previous run-through, I was playing as a sorcerer and had a combined strength of 27 on intelligence and magic, and yet that was not enough. I'm unsure if it's even possible to damage Vlad with these attacks, because I've not yet seen it happen. If you have an impressive weapon that's been enchanted, you can guarantee to do at least 1 point of damage. Or, in the case of certain weapons, you will kill him outright, which is what I just did there. So yes, you can sometimes kill him outright, but it requires luck to get this weapon, because I have no idea what I did differently to the first time in order to get this one. The first time when I played, I got given a magic sword rather than a magic axe, which only did 1 point of damage rather than the full required 3.
Vlad is the kind of game that you'll need to play through several times in order to beat it. Not because it's hard, but because the random nature of the events means that you'll need more luck than skill to actually get through it. Well, unless you're relying on a strategy guide, anyway. Overall, the gameplay for Vlad is rather lacking, so, naturally, I look to the story to save it. A wave of violence has swept across Constantinople, and although many have been sent, none have been able to discern its origin. As such, you are then sent to the city at the behest of an old friend, who tasks you with locating the source of this evil and destroying it. There's one major problem with this mystery as a setup. The solution's in the bloody title. Why would one establish oneself as a mystery while giving away the solution in the title? I have no idea. The problem with the story is that while each of the little vignettes are very well written and very thematic, the random nature of them means they just don't gel well with each other. For example, there was one event I encountered where a man thanked me profusely for saving his daughter. This in spite of the fact that the only time previously that I'd encountered someone trying to kidnap a child, the kidnappers had got away.
You mean to say that the gameplay adversely affects the story?
Exactly. Because of the short nature of each of these segments, you never really feel like you're having a greater impact on the world as a whole, or certainly none that you see. What's worse is that you never even feel like you're building a character, because all three classes behave identically and are completely interchangeable to the plot, barring a few minor stat changes.
It is a common flaw in games that assign different characters to different classes.
That it is. It takes about an hour to run through Vlad properly, but you can speedrun it in about 10 minutes if you're not bothering to read everything. While you could argue that the randomization gives it a decent bit of replayability, I would not have bothered replaying it had I not been doing this review. Make of that what you will. I actually really like the art for this game. It's all black and white, it's all very thematic, and it's really, really nicely done. It does an excellent job of establishing tone, especially given that the images include demonic entities and a severed head on a plate that weeps blood. Yeah, I can't help but think that this game's art team might have problems with Rorschach tests. Either way, my respect to the art team, and I wish them luck with whatever therapy they need to get over the nightmares that doubtless inspired this artwork. The music for Vlad isn't really good or bad, it's just kind of average. It does a decent enough job of establishing tone, and it never really feels too obtrusive. As for the voice acting, it's limited to the introductory letter that summons you to Constantinople, and frankly, it's barely worth mentioning.
And yet you mention it anyway.
I thought you were here to help, not criticise.
I cannot do both.
No, you can. I just prefer the clarification.
Perhaps someday you may even receive it.
Bloody unhelpful. Anyway, on to the conclusions. So, do I like Vlad the Impaler? Not really, no. Should you buy it? Most definitely not at full price. Here's the thing. Vlad is a game where the story and the gameplay fight each other, and it leads to a less than satisfying experience. I cannot recommend Vlad at full price. Not when you can get something of the quality of Sunrider for free. If the game had made more of an effort to explain its systems, I might have felt differently, but in its current state, I would recommend it only if you can catch it in a sale. Right, now if you'll excuse me, I need to get round to upgrading my anti-demon defences. I'll see you later.